to me the fact that as soon as you hit that share button, the numbers just jump right up.
Well, that's great. I will do it right now as soon as I get to where I need to be. We were too busy farting around in the kitchen.
We're live.
Okay, hi.
The eyeballs up. Nobody's watching, so the only people that are going to hear what we say right now are the people that watch later.
All right.
And then they can go back and get a kick out of us waiting to get people onto the show.
Right.
We are early today, and I didn't even sit down in front of the computer until 4 minutes.
Until about 4 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right?
There was some stuff that I just need. Like, I am not a gossiper.
No.
But every now and then I see some stuff, and I just need to get it off my chest. So fortunately, I had a good audience in you and Levi today. My phone's gonna die. Do you happen to have a iPhone cable?
Sure. Yep.
Could I borrow it?
Let me.
When you get the chance.
Yeah.
Matt Green is live on Porchcast Pottstown. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I start seeing some people tuning in. Thanks for tuning in.
And I'm gonna.
This is what baffles me. I'm looking for my own show on my Facebook page, on my device, and I don't see it. So I totally understand, folks, why what people say when they're saying to me, I can't find your show. But you can find us on Porchcast Pottstown on Matt Green and Glocker Real Estate and also YouTube. We are Porchcast Pottstown on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button if you decide to watch us on YouTube.
We have 196 followers on YouTube.
I sent you the update today, didn't you?
We're close to 200.
We had 10.
Just in case you didn't know, Matt, 196 is very close to 200.
It is. Yeah. It's awesome. The other thing that we had is just this month, we had 6 new subscribers on YouTube. That might be our strongest month on YouTube ever. Wow. And we had over 2,700 watched minutes of Porchcast Pottstown.
Do you want the brick? Because that's plugged in, but I can give you the brick.
No, this will work because I'm not using it other than just to show viewership.
Okay.
And I copied the link. I'm going to take that over to my personal page. Rufus Jefferson. If anybody doesn't know, Matt Green is Rufus Jefferson. Rufus Jefferson is Matt Green.
My phone autocorrected. I was typing something with an R word. Like I wanted to type right, question mark.
And Rufus came
up. And I think I was typing it to my friend Andrea. And I was like, what the hell? My phone is like schizophrenic.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to go. You know what I need to do? I'm going to take the graphic down so that everybody can see Amy.
And you.
Thank you. Susie Marcucci Kennedy, thanks for tuning in. Since she's right up there at the top, I want to give a big shout out to Susie Marcucci Kennedy. Not only is she our literary liaison on the show, and if you want to see a lot of literary people making some very profound quotes, go over to her Facebook page. She posts a new quote every day.
I look forward to it every day.
That's why she's our literary liaison.
Gives me some daily inspiration.
Yes. But not only that, she is a member of the resource team and trash team concept that I'm putting together over the cluster of religious communities.
She's a contributor to society.
Big time. Has been one of the leaders in logistical planning for the cleanup that we're going to be doing down along the river. So this leads me to my point. Even if you don't think that you have the capacity to go out and pick up trash or
you
be
can
outside,
still contribute in some way.
Just like Susie Marcucci Kennedy hasn't touched a piece of trash, but has been absolutely instrumental in planning the day.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Love it. I want to be Susie when I grow up because I love her do something new Wednesdays. I think that's so great. I look forward to being retired so I can do the same thing.
I think people should I try to do something a little bit different, like every week, just change my perspective. I was talking to Jill Diffenderfer, who's our licensed real estate assistant up at Glocker Realty and Insurance. And her and I were having this conversation. Sometimes it's good just to change your perspective by like just taking a new way home from work.
Yeah.
Or on Sunday afternoon, just go out for a little bit of a drive, try a new restaurant,
Right.
drive to a town that you haven't been to for a couple of months or a year or so.
Right.
Just change your perspective
Change
up
it
a little bit.
See what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
For sure.
Elizabeth Harper, thanks for tuning in. Elizabeth has been a strong Porchtonian.
Yes. Top fan, I would say.
She might be even beyond top fan. There's so many new levels. There's like, they come out with new levels all the time. So if you want to level up your Porchcast game, start liking, sharing, and subscribing.
Hitting those stars and whatnot. Stars, hearts, whatever.
That'll level you up. That'll level you up big time.
Yeah.
I make this joke all the time, and I'm going to have to find a new joke. If you can share a cat video, you can share Porchcast Pottstown. Just hit that share button, send it over to your feed. We do have some people watching. We're going to get into some Black History Month concepts today.
You got a Sly Fox over there, and I got a little Sly Fox koozie.
I'm drinking some beer
I'm not drinking Sly Fox, but I'm using the koozie.
Those Blake's hard ciders are pretty decent.
Pretty good.
Drank one over here, and they're decent. And
thank you to all of our friends that were here on Sunday for replenishing Matt's Porchcast beer supply.
Yeah, so I wanted to give a big shout out. We finally tracked down where this beer came from. At first,
we think it came from Nicole, right?
We think it came from Nicole Matz. There was a concept that it might have come from Chris Drucker. But we believe that we have it narrowed down to Nicole Matz. Thanks for replenishing the Porchcast beer supply. And if it was Chris Drucker, we also thank you for replenishing the beer supply. Both of those folks are members of the Pottstown Rotary who have been huge supporters of Porchcast Pottstown.
Yes. Hello, Mom. Thanks for tuning in.
My mother is in the hospital.
Yes, I know your mom is a little under the weather.
Big shout out to Judy Green. I hope she's watching. I mean, she doesn't have anything else to do.
Right?
She should be watching
Judy.
her son.
We're all thinking of you.
She's either doing that or taking a nap.
Right.
And she has a little bit of an infection in her ankle, and they can't necessarily track it down 100%. And because she has some other health issues, she needs to stay in the hospital until they figure it out.
Well, that's the safest place for her to be then.
If you are listening to this or watching this and you're friends with Judy Green on Facebook, or you have her cell phone number or email address, just shoot her a little message, tell her you're thinking about her, give her a call. Imagine how you would feel if you were over at the hospital every day, all day, and you had a negligent son that didn't come and visit you.
Right.
You can call her up and tell her what a bastard her son is.
What a deadbeat.
She might agree with you.
Right. Well, so Dad's birthday. Happy birthday to Art Green.
On the other side of the coin, Dad is 80 years old today.
Yeah. So his birthday celebration might have to wait until Judy's feeling better.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, because we're entering this age with my parents, we did the birthday celebration a little bit earlier. So we already took my dad out for breakfast one day. It was actually late breakfast, early lunch. The kids, my cousin Aaron McRogan from the McRogan clan, and we went out to breakfast at Cracker Barrel.
Nice. Where's their Cracker Barrel?
Downingtown.
Oh, okay. Downingtown. You know, I never go that far afield.
Yeah, it's outside of the.
No,
it's outside of the.
It is way out
perimeter.
of the fringe.
But it's within my realm of travels, and it's the only Cracker Barrel nearby. And my dad likes Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, great. So when it's his birthday, his choice.
His choice.
Yes.
So all the kids were together. The kids' significant others were together, and it was my cousin was there. She flew in from Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was good. It was a nice day. So happy
your
birthday to
dad
Art
and your
Green.
bestie have the same birthday.
My dad and my best friend Mark Breyer have the same birthday. So we also want to wish a happy birthday to my brother from another mother, Mark Breyer.
Yep, it was good to see him on Sunday.
When I was going through my troubles coming out of police work and everything else, I think I've been pretty honest about the fact that I developed PTSD over the course of my law enforcement career. When I was coming out of that, Mark Breyer was one of 3 individuals who literally saved my life.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Very good dude.
Yep. I enjoy him.
So
I also enjoy his food.
My dad's going back to working. He's going to go back to doing some guidance, not guidance counseling. What's it called? Tutoring.
Oh,
Man,
nice.
my words. Dad's going to go back to tutoring at the Montgomery County Community College. So if you're a student down there and
That's
you're
great.
struggling with math or science, hit up Art Green.
Great.
Literally one of the smartest men that I know. Like he's my dad. I'm a little bit biased.
Right.
However, if I step back from that, literally
he's objectively smart.
One of the smartest people that I know. And I would also put Levi's dad in that boat, Jack Wolf.
Yep.
Smart dude.
Smart. And also I think both Art and Jack are very diplomatic and very kind, and as far as human relations go.
Yes.
Right?
Good negotiators.
Very empathetic, understand where the other side is coming from.
Right. But firm when they need to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Good
dudes.
Yes, good dudes. They are
all the way around
role models for us younger men.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent. All right. Well, I also want to send a shout out to my friend Rhonda if she's watching or listening. Rhonda, get well soon. You met Rhonda when she was here last fall. She just had a little surgery this afternoon.
She's a nice person.
She is nice. She's a very interesting person. She's has a very wide range of interests.
Yes. Well-rounded.
Yep.
I think we call that.
Yes.
She talked about how Porchcast Pottstown has inspired her to do things in her own community.
Touched by that. Very, very touched.
Your mom just tuned in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Excellent. So, Matt, if you're not aware, February is Black History Month.
It is.
Yep.
And I'm going to do a whole lot of things to try to educate people about Black History Month and about why Black History Month is so important and why maybe we shouldn't take efforts to ban Black history.
Right.
Maybe there's reasons why we need to embrace Black history here, not just in America, but in worldwide. People with darker color skin have made some great contributions, not just to our country, but around the world in all different kinds of cultures. And it disturbs me. It disturbs me when I go on the news and I see people saying, we're not going to teach certain portions of this, and we're not going to teach certain portions of that, and we're not going to say certain words. We're going to outlaw certain words and certain things. That's not where we want to be as Americans.
No.
And I think what is lost to some Americans is the fact that the people that we're going to talk about on today's show specifically, we talk about from a civil rights perspective. Everybody knows the story of Martin Luther King, and even the people that want to ban Black history or portions of Black history or Black philosophy, Black political science, will still on Martin Luther King Day stand up in front of a podium and quote Martin Luther King. Right. Everybody is aware of the fight.
Well, Matt, those are very good political opportunities. They can't let that pass by.
Correct. It's
a good photo op. It's a good
and there's a word that we use for that. It's tokenism. It's tokenism.
Right.
So anyway, my point here in this is that we know about the fight for civil rights, right? And we've talked about the fight for civil rights and how people have achieved civil rights. And we usually talk about those fights for civil rights in relationship to the nonviolent protests that were put on by Martin Luther King, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and these other organizations that were affiliated with Martin Luther King. And the right, and I'm just going to say it for what it is, because it is the right portions of our political factions in America that they're comfortable to do that. But I'm going to tell some stories tonight about local people. I mean, look, right down the road, local people who literally fought, and I'm talking about trading bullets for their freedom,
right,
to escape slavery and to escape other injustices that they were experiencing, which impeded upon their freedoms that white people or less dark people
Right.
took for granted.
Took for granted. They didn't even know what they had.
Didn't even have to worry about it.
Right.
So that's some of your brown friends and black friends are getting upset because not because somebody is saying we want to ban CRT, which is a master's or doctorate level political science philosophy.
Nobody's teaching critical race theory at elementary school.
No. Most of this, and nothing against teachers.
Right.
We have great teachers in our schools. Most teachers are not educated enough to even teach CRT if they wanted to. You literally have to have a master's degree or
PhD. Yeah.
This is college level stuff.
Right.
It's not happening in kindergarten.
Right. No, in kindergarten, you're reading books about picture books about like how brown people and white people are the same and how we should all get along. That's what they're teaching.
Martin Luther King type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that's relatable that you can really understand.
But when adults, your brown friends and your black friends who are getting upset because somebody's trying to ban CRT, like Ron DeSantis
I don't
or
know what they're talking about.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, not only do they not know what they're talking about, what they're doing is they're taking away agency from brown and black people. Agency is control over yourself and your own destiny. When you say to brown and black people, you can no longer teach philosophies or sciences that relate to black people, you are taking away their agency as human beings. That's what's at risk here.
Right.
It's not because.
So what are they so scared of?
I don't know. I think they're scared of black people.
Right. They're scared that they're not going to be in power anymore. That they themselves, the far white right. Yeah, Liz Harper says, unfortunately, the folks who need to hear this probably aren't watching. You're right.
And I get that. But
you're right.
maybe there's some things that you're going to hear me say tonight that will enlighten you to carry the message forward the next time you're interacting
so that maybe
with some of these
you're having
people.
a conversation with somebody that's spouting this, nonsense. And say, you know what? This, how about think about it this way? Or maybe so it's good to have the conversation, even if those people, and really, if those people were watching, they wouldn't be hearing the message anyway. Like they wouldn't be hearing it.
No.
But we're going to talk about it anyway.
There might be somebody in your family, in your social circle, maybe somebody you're going to interact with on Facebook later on tonight. Hopefully, I'm going to give you some more ammunition for your fight against freedom and for the agency of black and brown people, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, anybody who is not a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant descended from a founding father.
Right.
But let's get back to this concept of agency.
Let me just chime in what Susie says. She says they're afraid of losing power and being treated the way that they treat brown and black people.
Right.
Be like, you can dish it out, but you can't take it.
Yeah.
Right.
What we talk about all the time, being able to, you want to stir the pot, but you can't lick the spoon.
Exactly.
Well, then don't do that. Right. So I want to get back to this concept of agency because it also speaks to where black people came from in America, right? Slavery is the absolute removal of agency, right?
You've lost
everything.
All of your rights, all of your individual being. You lose your name, right?
You lose your name. You lose the clothes that you wear. You lose the food that you eat. You lose the religion that you practice. People going to tell you what job to do, when to do it, how long to do it. Every single bit of your being is controlled by another human being.
Piece of property.
That is the loss of agency.
Right.
And again, I want to draw this parallel. When you hear people talking about banning CRT, banning Black history, banning certain words that are used to describe people, what they're doing is they're removing people's agency, their ability to discuss those things in public, to talk about them.
Reducing them to less than a person.
Correct. That's the problem. It has nothing to do with we want a kindergartner to be woke.
Right.
You know what? I think that that's bullshit too.
Right.
But CRT has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Nothing. So anyway, I'm going to use a lot of banned words and banned language. I've already said a bunch of stuff that would be prohibited in Arkansas and Florida. So anyway, we talk a lot on Porchcast Pottstown about there's repeating themes, and the themes are education. We talk about the environment. We talk about infrastructure, and we talk about healthcare. Those are kind of the 4 pillars of Porchcast Pottstown, right? Those are the things that we spend the most time talking about in one way, shape, or form.
All of our topics can fit into one of those categories.
In some way, shape, or form.
In some way, yeah.
So I'm going to cover a lot of that stuff. A lot of what I'm going to be talking
about. Matter, your arm's getting shorter?
yeah. I just can see. Here's what I'm going to be talking about. If you go over to French Creek State Park, which is in Berks County, but it's not very far away from here, 15, 20 minutes. It's within your perimeter.
It is. And I do go further afield when I'm going hiking.
So
that's pretty.
One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this particular piece of history is because it's literally in our backyard as Porchtonians. And for those of us that are able and capable, the things that I'm going to talk about over the course of the next week, month, or do something new Wednesday, you're going to be able to jump in your car or strap on your hiking boots and go physically look at some of these places. And you're going to now have a new perspective about the people who built those places, the people that lived in those places, and how they interacted with each other.
Great. I can't wait to hear. I'll say hi to Darlene, who's just tuning in.
Thank you. Yeah, camping there is nice. I go camping at French Creek at least once a year. I go fishing over there. I go hunting over there. We like hiking over there.
It's a big park.
Thousands and thousands of acres between French Creek, the game lands, the Nature Conservancy, and some of the smaller township parks. There's something in the neighborhood of 15,000 protected acres over there.
It's like, I don't know, 20 minutes away, if that?
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Hopewell National Park. So you have the National Park Services has protected land over there. So I'm going to be drawing together a lot of themes. So let's start with that. Hopewell National Furnace is a early example of American iron making. And we know that southeastern Pennsylvania, including right here in the borough of Pottstown, is the birthplace of the American iron industry. Any historian can agree on that, right?
Right
if
here.
You're pro CRT or anti CRT,
we can agree on that.
Everyone can agree. Everyone can agree that John Potts was one of the founding fathers of the American iron industry.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
All right. That iron industry requires a lot of labor. Always had, always did. And one of the places they found that labor was in enslaved Africans or slaves, right? That was one of the ways they did it. They also used indentured servants. And there was also white people and free blacks that worked in the iron industry because the work was so labor intensive, and they always had shortages of people.
Right.
So even the enslaved Africans who had no agency, remember, some of these people were blacksmiths and puddlers and furnace operators. They were wood choppers. They were colliers, which made coal. Those are all very important jobs, skilled labor jobs. And there would be slaves in those jobs, very highly trained people.
Right.
Now, the guy who's the blacksmith, the black slave blacksmith, might not necessarily wanted to be a blacksmith.
But there he was.
Right. Helping to found the nation's iron industry.
Right, on which the nation was built. I mean, it was literally trains and railroad tracks, and before that,
the nails that built your house.
Yeah.
The stove that kept you warm,
right?
The kettle that boiled your hot water for your tea,
all that stuff,
all of it.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, the 1780s saw the beginning of the Underground Railroad among the Quakers of southeastern Pennsylvania, and in 1839, the Anti-Slavery Society of Philadelphia was founded. By 1850, Berks County had emancipated all of its slaves. That same year, Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Act, which stated that anyone suspected of being a runaway slave could be arrested and tried simply through the sworn testimony of another person. And I'll take it another step further. That sworn testimony came from a white person.
Of course.
Because black people were not allowed to provide sworn testimony in cases unless they were authorized to do so.
Right.
But any
Because who would take a black person's word?
Well, think about it.
Right?
How were black people treated prior to this? They were 3/5 of a person.
Like property. They weren't even treated like people. So who would take their word? That wouldn't make any sense.
Right.
Right.
So any white guy could go into court and say that black person is a runaway slave.
Right.
All right.
Their word against his.
Right.
Or hers.
So this is 1850. The Fugitive Slave Act stated that anyone suspected of being a runaway slave could be arrested and tried simply through sworn testimony of another person. Anyone aiding a runaway slave could be fined $1,000 and imprisoned for 6 months. So think about what $1,000 would mean to somebody in 1850. So there's calculators.
I can calculate.
Go do the math.
Right. And yeah, so it was dangerous to people that were running the underground
Sure it was.
Railroad or aiding and abetting. It was dangerous.
6 months in jail, $1,000 fine. Anyone capturing a fugitive slave was entitled to a reward. So think about that. What we've done now is we've now monetized this entire system.
Do you want to know what the calculation is?
Yeah.
$1,000 in 1850, roughly equivalent to about $38,000 today.
That's more than some people in Pottstown currently make in a year.
Yep. Yeah. So it was very risky to help a
runaway
slave.
Anybody involved in this process is risky.
Right.
And we're going to hear more about why it's so risky. So anyone aiding a runaway slave could be fined $1,000 and imprisoned for 6 months. Anyone capturing a fugitive slave was entitled to a reward. So now we've monetized this whole system. So if I'm a less than scrupulous person, I could be walking down the street and say, "Oh, look, there's good old Joe."
Right.
Joe just moved here from someplace else.
Probably a runaway slave.
Let me head on down to district court and provide some sworn testimony, and I'll get a reward.
You get my reward. Right.
Anyone capturing watch what's the story? 12 Years a Slave?
Yep.
Anyone aiding a runaway slave could be fined. All right. Anyone capturing a fugitive slave was entitled to work. All U.S. citizens were expected to assist in returning fugitive slaves to their owners. The act caused such unrest in Berks County that the United States Marines were sent near Berks County border to restore order. And I'm going to tell you about the story that led the U.S. Marines to being dispatched to Berks County.
Okay.
Or to roughly the area.
So when you say that the law caused such unrest, in what way? Was that the story you're about to tell?
People didn't want to cooperate. And it's part of the story that I'm going to tell. But imagine this. Imagine you go to work. You leave to go to work down at the iron furnace, right? And while you're down there, somebody with a warrant from Maryland shows up and says, "I'm looking for 2 runaway slaves. I need a posse to get together. And you, Amy, and you, Levi, and you, Matt, are coming with me to help find these slaves."
Because it's your duty as a citizen of the United States,
correct.
Right?
Do you want to lose a day's work down at the furnace because Joe Blow has to go look for some runaway?
And maybe I don't want to go look for runaway slaves because maybe I might have one hiding out in my house.
Or maybe you're a Quaker.
Or maybe I just don't want to because I'm not capturing any slaves because I don't believe in slavery.
Or maybe you just don't want to get involved.
Maybe I just don't want to get involved in capturing people.
Yeah.
Maybe I think that they should be free.
It's not my gig.
Yeah, maybe I think, call me crazy, but maybe I think those slaves should be free.
Yeah. Listen, man, just leave me alone. I just want to go down to the furnace. I got some casting to do today. We got an order for 10 stoves. I got to fill the order.
Well, not me. I'm a woman. I have wash to do.
You got wash.
Chickens to kill.
Sorry.
I am very busy.
I got to make dinner for the guys over at the furnace.
And it's going to take me all day to make dinner.
Right. So this is why it's causing unrest for all of those.
Because they're expected to be involved, whether they want to or not.
They can be pressed into the service of going to capture a fugitive slave.
Right.
Who the F wants to do that?
No, some bullshit.
All right. So let's talk about Pine Forge. In 1720, iron maker Thomas Rudder built a manor house at the Pine Forge station, and under the Pine Forge house that he built, he dug tunnels to hide from hostile Native Americans. Later, when John Potts Rudder lived in the house, the tunnels were used to hide runaway slaves. Because Pine Forge was so far from cities where slave hunters worked, it was a safe haven for runaway
Pine Forge
slaves.
is right over here.
So if you want to see where this place is, drive down Manatawny Street till Manatawny Street becomes Manatawny Road, and then you will enter into the campus of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Pine Forge Academy. When Manatawny Road goes to take a left-hand turn to cross the Manatawny, there's an old brownstone farmhouse right at that intersection of Douglas Drive and Manatawny Road.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
That's John. That is the house.
Okay.
That is the house.
Right, and under there was tunnels and stuff.
To hide slaves because Thomas Rudder, who was also related to the Potts. His name was Thomas
Potts Rudder.
Right. He was a Quaker and was an abolitionist and was against slavery. So if you want to see, if you're a Porchtonian watching this show tonight and you want to go see a runaway slave site or an underground slave site,
right.
Hop on Manatawny Street and ride it all the way out till you get to Pine Forge Academy. And when you come to that mansion, that old timey brownstone mansion, that was a station on the Underground Railroad.
Cool.
This is how close this is to us.
I mean, you're talking about like 2 miles or something, man.
Right. Rudder also needed many laborers to run his businesses. So he employed freed and runaway slaves alike. Employment helped runaway slaves earn money for their journey. Right. So not only is no effort in life is altruistic, right? Well, so he's helping people escape.
It's very rare. It's very rare that there's true altruism.
He's helping people run away from slavery. That's all fine and good. But he's also getting some labor to help run his business. Because remember, I told you, labor shortages were always present. That's why they had slaves in the first place, because there wasn't enough white people to do the work.
Right.
Same problem that we have today, right?
I was gonna say we kind of having the same problem now. People are complaining because they got to wait 30 minutes for a table,
or their tomato didn't come on time because Jose down in Texas wasn't picking tomatoes. Or something.
Open up those borders.
Anyway, I'm not for open borders, but that's a whole nother conversation. So anyway, you get what's going on.
Yeah.
You get what's going on. There's the need for this labor. There's slavery here in Pennsylvania. Berks County emancipates all slaves in 1850, so that's no longer an issue. So this is what's going on. This area is a hotbed for the abolitionist movement, and those abolitionists are being motivated towards abolition for a whole lot of reasons. It's a complex scene. But along with being the birthplace of the American iron industry, we are also the birthplace of the American abolitionist movement, southeastern Pennsylvania. So I want to talk about this next thing, and this is going to lead us into the final part of the story here. The Sixpenny Colored Church. The Sixpenny Colored Church is located on Geigertown Road.
I don't know where that is.
It's if you're coming down 345 towards French Creek State Park. So 345 comes out onto 724 in Birdsboro.
Right.
As you're coming down 345 towards French Creek State Park, Geigertown Road branches off to the right before you get into the park.
Okay.
If you go back along Geigertown Road, you'll eventually come to what's now an abandoned church and cemetery. That place is called the Sixpenny Colored Church.
Sixpenny?
There's a creek back there called Sixpenny Creek. If you're old enough, like I am, I'm an old guy now, you might remember going to Sixpenny Lake because it was a recreation area. And they had swimming and fishing and everything else there. There was a picnic grove there, all kinds of stuff. That area is now part of French Creek State Park. This is public land. You can go back and walk around this area that I'm getting ready to talk about.
Right.
Okay, so historian Joseph E. Walker explains that an increase in the African-American population in the extreme southern tip of Berks County, accounted for the building of the AME Mount Frisbee Church, also known as the Sixpenny Colored Church, and the Mount Zion Church. Well, why were these black people increasing their numbers in southern Berks County? There was jobs here.
Mm-hmm.
There was a need for them to be here. Some of them had been enslaved here and were freed
Right.
in 1850.
Right.
And then we're also very close to that border called the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
So Pennsylvania was a free state.
Mm-hmm.
Berks County was a free county. You go just a little bit further over the line into Cecil County, Maryland. Guess what?
Yeah.
Slavery.
It's the South.
So we're literally one of the first stops on the Underground Railroad
Right.
coming up out of the South.
Right.
That's why these people are starting to congregate in this area.
Right.
It's a safe place for them to come
Mm-hmm.
and be free. Build churches, build their communities, have jobs,
Right.
have babies, get married,
Right.
do all that great stuff that Americans want to do. Because what is it? That's agency
Mhm.
for them.
Right.
That's their agency. They're gaining their agency. All right. So also, here's what's going on. Located 3 miles from Hopewell Furnace,
Mhm.
the church was built in 1856 by runaway slaves. In 1860, there were 9 homes surrounding the church, indicating that it was a Negro colony centered around the new church. The Sixpenny Colored Church is still standing, though abandoned. It is home of the oldest African-American cemetery in Berks County. There's also a whole bunch of black Civil War veterans that are buried over
Mhm.
there. So
Wow.
we're bringing a lot of themes
A
together.
lot of history.
And again, all these sites are sites that you can drive to within 20 minutes.
Sure.
Now, finding the old black settlement at Sixpenny takes, you got to get out of your car and get down into the woods.
Right.
But if you are so inclined, you can find this area.
Mhm.
And over the course of the years, the state and other historians and colleges have done archaeology down in that area. So if you get out and walk around, you will probably find this area because it's
Right.
it's pretty well known and it's been dug on and everything else. So you'll probably find some signs of that activity that
Yeah.
will lead you to where the site of this
Mhm.
settlement was. All right. Also nearby that area,
Mhm.
on Hay Creek Road, there's a place called Scarlet Mills. Okay. And Scarlet was the last name of the family that owned Scarlet Mills.
Okay.
I didn't know some of this stuff until just over the past couple of days.
Right.
And I got to give a big shout out to Todd Bainbridge
Mhm.
from the Pottstown Area Historical Collective.
Yep.
Todd did the research for me to be able to tell this story.
Nice. Thanks, Todd.
If you want to thank Todd for that, go over to the Pottstown
Todd
Area
History
Historical
Collective. I'll
Collective
put a post in the.
and join that group.
Yep.
Todd did all of the research so that I could tell this story. So anyway, Scarlet Mills, I didn't know this. I just thought maybe it was because the place is made out of red sandstone. So maybe that's why they called it Scarlet, or maybe they made some kind of dye at Scarlet Mills. No, the name of the family was the Scarlets. Scarlet Mills was one of the most well-known stations on Pennsylvania Underground Railroad. The Forests, the home of the Quaker widow Elizabeth Scarlet, and her son Joseph, was in Robeson Township near Birdsboro, a remote region safe from slave hunters. According to historian Wayne E. Homan, Scarlet Mansion at Scarlet Mills, which is still standing. You can drive by it. It's right by the road. I've driven by this place 100 times on my fishing and hunting trips.
The mansion is still standing?
Yep.
Okay.
The Scarlet Mansion at Scarlet Mills probably housed more Negro escapees over a longer period of time than any other Berks County stop.
Wow.
Right in our backyard.
Right in our backyard.
All right. So,
And wasn't the roller mills was a stop on the Underground Railroad
yes,
too, wasn't
from
it?
my understanding,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be talking a little bit about that on our next episode. The Underground Railroad was influenced by religious dominations, including the AME Church, which stands for African Methodist Episcopal,
Mhm.
Quakers, Black Baptists, Methodists, and Presbyterians. Quakers, such as members of the Scarlet family, assisted self-emancipated. I like that. That's really politically correct. Self-emancipated.
Self-emancipated.
Runaway
Runaway
slaves.
Yeah.
Assisted self-emancipated individuals on the road to freedom within the Sixpenny Creek community. Sixpenny Creek and the Underground Railroad were linked by Mount Frisbee AME Church. The AME denominations grew from the Free American, the AME denominations grew from the Free African Society, which was founded by Richard Allen, a former slave from Delaware. And Richard Allen is also one of the founding fathers of the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about Joseph Scarlett. Joseph Scarlett was an active in aiding self-emancipated individuals beyond providing shelter at the family home. According to a newspaper article following his death, he was an ardent friend of fugitive slaves and did not hesitate at personal danger in assisting them. And I'm going to read you a story that is quite profound to me that happened in our backyard. And again, within a 45-minute to an hour drive, you could drive to this town and think about that this happened in your backyard.
Right.
All right. So here's what happened. The Christiana tragedy. Joseph Scarlett was also involved in the Christiana tragedy in 1851. So a year after Berks County emancipated
right.
all the slaves.
Yep.
In 1851, an event which can be seen as an important precursor to the Civil War. After leaving his family home, Joseph Scarlett moved to Salisbury, Chester County, PA, which was near Lancaster, PA, the location of the Christiana tragedy. The Christiana tragedy began on September 9th, 1851, when the news that Edward Gorsuch, I found that funny, Gorsuch, the new Supreme Court Justice, Edward Gorsuch of Anne Arundel County, Maryland, had obtained warrants for arresting William Parker and others who had resided in an African-American community near Christiana. And they had been there for several years. Like, people know that these weren't runaway slaves because they lived there in the area. They lived amongst these people.
Right.
They were well known. They were respected. They were probably some of the workers down at the local iron
furnace,
forge. Right. So if somebody comes in from somewhere else and takes these people away, imagine, in 1851, we're not talking about huge populations of people.
Right.
So imagine what would happen if a slave catcher showed up in your town and took 3 people away from your community.
And you're like, well, what are you doing? He's been living here for, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Joe's
not a slave. What are you talking about?
Joe's got to wake up to make the coal tomorrow.
Right.
Joe, if you take Joe, who's going to make the coal?
Who's going to stoke the fire? Right.
Right. This is a problem.
Right.
All right. So these people had been in the area for a couple of years. William Parker, who had been operating an underground railroad station within the community, heard the news the following day. In the early morning, several men, including Edward Gorsuch, remember, he's the guy with the warrant to catch the slaves, or the people that he's accusing of being runaway slaves.
Right.
His son, Dickerson Gorsuch, and a deputy U.S. Marshal named William H. Klein arrived on Parker's property and attempted to enter his house. Because remember, they have a warrant, right?
Yeah.
To catch these slaves. Remember, the year before, 1850, the Fugitive Slave Act said, if somebody has a warrant,
that's it.
Every American has to help.
Has to help.
So these guys show up at this guy's house with their warrant. They try to enter the house. Parker's wife blew a horn from the window and signaled that to alert friends of the Underground Railroad that there was trouble.
Right. So they got their secret horn blast.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bitch, you better get over here.
Right. Right. So she's blowing the horn. She's blowing the secret code.
Yeah. Get over here. There's a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So she's blowing the horn out the window. Slave catchers are at the door. She's intending to alert her friends of the Underground Railroad that there was trouble. When she refused to stop, Klein shot her and was shortly joined in the attack by the Gorsuch family and a local gang called the Gap Gang. At this point, Joseph Scarlett arrived at the scene with several white men and was asked to help and aid the arrest. So Joseph Scarlett, remember, he's an abolitionist.
He's a friend.
He's a friend of the lady that's blowing the horn that just got blasted.
Right.
But because he's a white man, and he's a citizen,
He's expected to.
he's expected
yeah.
to render aid.
You need to be on our side.
That's right. So after Scarlett shows up and they ask him for help, Joseph Scarlett and the others refuse to help. Shooting resumed on both sides. So now you have Joseph Scarlett and the Underground Railroad guys in a gunfight.
They're like, we better get our guns. Get those muskets.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Well, they just shot this lady.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, another person in a relatively small community. You shoot her, the ripple effect through that community.
Yep, them's fighting words.
Right.
Yep.
So now we have this shootout going on between the abolitionists, the
Joseph Scarlett
gang.
and his gang, and Gorsuch and his gang.
Yeah.
Right.
They're blasting in the streets of Christiana. As the attackers dispersed, the Gorsuch father and son were left behind. Joseph Scarlett inserted himself between Dickerson Gorsuch and those wishing to harm him further, saving his life.
Which was very nice of him.
Super nice of him.
That was very, very nice of him to do.
Because
Dickerson Gorsuch showed up. He's
well, let's talk about really what it was. It was a battle.
Yeah.
And those guys
they came to kill, to take or to kill, right? And Scarlett then helps him, saves their life.
It
was very nice.
Another person might not have been so inclined.
He was lucky. Right.
Joseph Scarlett was charged with treason. He's charged with treason and levying war against the United States government.
But he was not. There's only like 4 people in the whole history of the United States that have been.
No, there's more than that because there's these other things, but most of them are related to this time period around the Civil War, and then directly after the Civil War.
But there's a very low number. Treason is a very, very difficult.
Right. Yes, it's a burden.
The country has to be at war, right? Mm-hmm. For somebody to be accused of or charged with and found guilty of treason.
Right.
So the conditions have to be very specific. So people like to throw that word around a lot.
But it's not always accurate.
So like, January 6th, people talk about treason, really like seditious conspiracy is the more accurate.
Appropriate charge. Right.
Right.
But you could see why somebody would try to charge that treason, because the people that Joseph Scarlett was theoretically trying to help were not American citizens because they were slaves.
They weren't even people.
No rights.
They weren't even people. Right. So he's charged with treason.
Yep, and levying war against the United States government. And although not found guilty, he spent 97 days in a Lancaster County prison following the event. He was one of 3 white men from the event to spend time in prison. Mm-hmm. So this is the event that led them to dispatch the United States Marine Corps into that area to regain peace, because you had these running gun battles between abolitionists and fugitives,
bounty hunters, basically.
And now think about this. This is another thing that you got to lay onto your thought process when you think about this story, or when you go back and listen to it again. Mm-hmm. The people that were actually wrong, according to the law, the rule of law, were the abolitionists.
Oh, of course.
The people that were right and had the force of law behind them.
And his.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm going to put, here's a link to that wiki page that you were just reading from. I'm going to put that in the comments in case anyone wants to read that story again.
So I talked about 3 different places. If you were to draw
very close by,
all close by, did you know that there was a slave war in your backyard?
That there was a slave war in Berks County.
Well, this was Lancaster County, but
Lancaster County, but yeah.
Yeah. To be honest with you, until I read this, I didn't know about this story either.
Interesting.
And I have a degree, or very close to a degree.
In this taught at the state parks. Hey, did you see? Sorry to take a little a sidestep here, but did you see that they found an unexploded incendiary device in Gettysburg?
That doesn't surprise me.
They just found it and had to call in the bomb squad and stuff to safely take it away.
Yeah.
This was just the other day.
So this story that I just told is a precursor to the Civil War.
It said it was one of the events that led to
The Civil War. Now, I always think about like Bloody Kansas and the Jayhawks and all of that stuff. I always think about this kind of stuff happening out in the Midwest.
Right.
Oh, no, my friend.
No, right here.
Right here.
And you can still see some of these places. Elizabeth Harper said she drives by there when she goes to Glick's. To the
Nah, you're getting confused a little bit.
Not the right one.
No, that's Spots Mill.
Oh, okay.
Up near Glitz. Scarlet Mill is down off of Hay Creek Road outside of Birdsboro, down by French Creek State Park.
Super close.
So
Go take a ride, folks.
So is the church. The Mount Frisbee Church is off of Geigertown Road, which cuts off of 345 just above French Creek State Park. And then Christiana is in southwestern Lancaster County, down by the Maryland border, down by the Susquehanna River. And there's another little town, an area down there called Pequot. Christiana is down there.
Okay.
Christiana, if you drive through Christiana, still probably looks a lot like it did in 1850. No, I'm serious. Like it's a very historic old town, and it's still to this day not very big town. So you can imagine
not very far. You can take a drive there, like you said, get out and.
Yes, she's right. Pine Forge Academy, where I talked about the Rudder House.
Yeah.
That is that is on the way to Glick's if you go up Manatawny Road. I'm sorry, Elizabeth Harper. I corrected you, and I was the one that was wrong.
Yeah, so check it out. Take a little Sunday drive.
So that's our today's Black History Month, and hopefully I impressed upon some people why it might not be a good idea to try to ban this stuff from a government level. Because think about who Ron DeSantis and Sarah Huckabee Sanders are now aligning themselves with historically.
Gorsuch.
Yeah.
And his posse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dudes that were coming to disrupt an otherwise peaceful town that was minding its own damn business. I'm not sure that Ron DeSantis and Sarah Huckabee Sanders want to be aligning their legacy. Their family.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They're not on the right side of history.
No, they're not. No.
I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody thinks about CRT or any of this other stuff.
I can't wait till the state of Florida takes over the town of Disney, which just happened like yesterday. I can't wait to see how bad they screw that up. So if you want to go to Disney, you better get there before DeSantis takes over, because it's probably going to be a big mess. I'll give a shout out also to Tom Hilton for his little advertorial in the paper today. Tom has been doing a whole series on Black history, and he did a series on segregation in Pottstown last last month.
Bless you.
Allergies in February. Global warming, folks.
I saw daffodils blooming the other day.
Ridiculous.
I went fishing with Mark Breyer today. There was a pretty substantial stonefly hatch on the Manatawny today.
On February 9th.
February 9th.
Should be freezing. You shouldn't even have been able to fish. It should have been frozen over. So anyway, Tom did an article today, or an advertisement article about the Coram family. A very, very prominent family in Pottstown over the years.
Yeah, so I have a family. I said this before. I have a family connection to the Corums. My dad's cousin, so my second cousin, Jimmy Davis from Westchester, his father is a Coram from Pottstown.
Yep. So, it talks about how the family was involved in the police force.
James, I think I think his name was James. Jimmy.
James and Thomas Coram worked for Stanley Flagg, lived in the 700 block of Beach Street in a segregated neighborhood. 1944, at the height of World War II, the Beach Street neighborhood, as the Mercury described it, was the scene of brawls, attacks, and boisterous shindigs that shattered the peace of the community, mostly by young people. Thomas Coram asked Pottstown Council to be given a uniform and appointed a special policeman
he
to
was
patrol the neighborhood.
Yeah, he was the first black cop.
He offered to do it free after his daily shift at Flagg's. Council agreed, thus making Coram the first black police officer in Pottstown history.
Yeah.
That was 1944.
Who did it for free?
Coram
for
did
free.
so well that within a year he was hired as a paid full-time police officer, not just for the Beach Street neighborhood, but for all of Pottstown. Meanwhile, his brother James helped organize his fellow workers at Flags in 1941 as members of the United Steelworkers of America. James was made recording secretary and later president of Local 2326 up through the early 1960s. He was also elected president of the Pottstown chapter of the NAACP. Coram's son, James Jr., served in the U.S. Army during World War II. In 1955, James joined his uncle Thomas as the second black member of the Pottstown police force. After 8 years on the force, he resigned to take a job with Thriftway, thanking everyone for the cooperation they have given me in fulfilling my job. Police Chief Harold Hahn said it was an advancement for him with an increase in pay, and I could not tell him not to take it. It's a shame to lose him because he was a fine officer. But Coram remained involved in the community. In 1965, he ran for Pottstown Council in the 7th Ward against an incumbent, the council president. Coram said he hoped his candidacy would encourage other blacks to take a greater part in community affairs and government in Pottstown. Coram lost that election, but the following year he was appointed to the Pottstown School Board, the first black school director in Pottstown history. In 1968, Coram was appointed by the mayor to the Pottstown's first Human Relations Commission, which was created by Pottstown Council to promote mutual understanding, respect, and cooperation. It continues today. Thomas Coram continued on the police force until he died in the line of duty on January 20th, 1964. The officer had a heart attack while struggling with a man he was arresting on a warrant. Oh, how sad. One of the officers with Coram on the night he died was James Rogers, the third black appointed to the Pottstown Police Department in 1959. Rogers next became police chief.
The first black police chief.
The
only black police chief we've ever had.
Yeah.
So it talks about how those guys organized the Steelworkers Union.
Mm-hmm.
There is no doubt in my mind that those families were involved in the steel mills and steel workers because that's one of the biggest employers in this area for free and enslaved black people. The American iron industry would not have been what it was or what it is without the contribution of black Americans. Period.
I would think that
period.
Most industry, you would say that about most industries.
But this is the industry in our backyard.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. If you believe that that's what I just said is CRT.
No. See, people people use words like CRT, critical race theory, socialism, treason. Like they don't know. They don't really understand what it means. Right. All right. Can we touch on one other thing, not related to the topic, but
I'm done.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is kind of related, though.
It is related because it's addressing the inequity of school districts in poor communities, which are largely brown and black. So the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has ruled that Pennsylvania schools funding system is unconstitutional. Huge victory. We've talked about fair funding a lot on this show. We've had Stephen Rodriguez as a guest. We've had Laura Johnson as a guest. We've talked about it.
Heather Moore Daly. We've had like half of the Pottstown School District on our show.
And a lot of people have been fighting a very long time for this. And this is a huge win for the children of Pennsylvania.
All of them. Whether you're from an overfunded school district or a
severely underfunded school district, this is a huge win. It remains to be seen whether they're going to appeal it. But hopefully, I don't know how long it's going to take.
It took 9 years to get us here.
9 years, you guys. That's a really long time.
And I would say this, like, even because and believe it or not, I've had these conversations with people. And again, this goes back to this idea of why some folks feel that it's necessary to ban Black history. Well, we're all Americans now. We don't have to talk about that stuff. That's fine. If you want to believe that on your own time, that's fine. Even if you want to talk about a completely 99% underfunded white school district, I'm willing to have that conversation with you and say to you, why would we want those kids to be underfunded? They're the future of our state.
Right.
Why would we not want those kids to
Give
have equal access
to everything?
every education?
Yeah.
There could be some kid in some rural school that, guess what, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, he might be your brain surgeon.
Yeah. Right.
So what benefit
give that kid the opportunity?
What benefit does it have to us to try to cut people off and not fund them from being contributors to society?
Right.
It doesn't. It makes
give every kid a chance.
Sense to me whatsoever.
Hopefully, I don't know what the process is from here, what happens, how they fix it, how they how they redistribute. But basically, what it says is that school districts should not rely on the property values to fund the district, because it disproportionately screws the kids that live in districts where the property values are lower.
Right.
That's it. That's the boils down to that. It shouldn't base funding of schools on
property value.
Yeah. Yeah. So
listen,
thank you to everybody that's been working tirelessly on that fight for the last 9 years.
Here's another issue that's coming up, and it's here, whether we like it or not. We have to figure out a way to deal with it. But we already have medical marijuana in Pennsylvania. It's only a matter of time.
Just legalize it and use that money, people. Can we please?
Yeah. You talk about an alternative source of revenue to try to
money is just going to New Jersey and to New York and all the other places that have recreational.
Right.
Just get some of that money up in this, John.
Right.
And
we've talked about this again before. We talked about this with our friend Paul Friel, about the fact that gas extraction, mineral extraction in Pennsylvania is not taxed.
It's ridiculous.
We're the only state in the United States of America, including Texas and Oklahoma, which are deeply red states.
Right.
Well, Texas is starting to turn purple. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're the only state in the United States of America that does not tax extraction.
You're just letting that money go. Like, what?
Why not? Couldn't we use some of that to pay for our schools?
I think so.
Come on.
I think so. Right. So anyway, big win, and that was very nice to hear about. Oh my gosh, it's 7:00. Let me bust through some events and news real quick.
Sure.
All right. Pottstown. This is Saturday. PHS Trojan Derby supports the Pottstown football program at Pottstown High School. That's at the Carousel Saturday at 7.
Ooh, you know what happened last night?
What?
Pottstown beat Norristown to advance to the semifinals in basketball.
That sounds like it's a really big deal.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Great. Way to go. Way to go, Trojans.
They're on the verge of becoming Pac-10 champs.
Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Sweetheart Saturday, also at the Carousel. That's the following week, February 18th. So if you screw up and you miss Valentine's Day, you can make up for it on February 18th at the Carousel.
I have to have a meeting on Valentine's Day about picking up trash at Memorial Park. Oh my God.
Well, you can maybe have people buy one of these to pick up trash.
I bought 2 of them on Monday.
Yeah. All right. Sweetheart Dance. This is at Soul Joel's on the 11th from 1 to 3. Bluey and Bingo, which are some kids' characters, are going to be there. That is $20 per child at Soul Joel's at Sunnybrook. Matt, you sent me some stuff. We're going to save this because I want to talk about that a little bit more. This weekend, Montgomery County Community College, this is for parents with little kiddos. They are having their summer camp fair. So the college offers a bunch of summer camps for kids. Amazing Arts, Janet Planet, Baseball Academy, Summer Strings Camp, H2Yo, Junior 76ers. These are all for varying kids from ages 7 to 13. So their summer camp fair, you can learn about the camps, meet the directors, and register. And that's at the North Hall of Pottstown campus, which is on High Street at Manatawny. North Hall, the old Kiwi shoe polish factory.
Wow, you're going back.
Yeah.
Because before before it was the community college, it was the Nittany Warehouse,
Mhm.
and then before that, it was the shoe polish. Thing.
Right.
You took it back
I
like
took
two
it way
things.
back. All right. Tons of stuff happening at Art Fusion, but I did get a notice today that they need 2 more people for their Mosaic House Numbers class, which is such a cool project. You get to make a plaque for the front of your house with your house number. And that begins on Saturday, March 4th. So go check out Art Fusion's website and Facebook page, and you can see what the Mosaic House Numbers look like. They're really beautiful. It'd be like a nice gift for somebody.
And
It's in March. You can make a house number and give it to your mom for Mother's Day.
And as long as it's like 2 inches wide and 4 inches tall, it meets the requirement.
Meets codes. Saturday the 11th is Pottstown Athletic Club movie night. So go see our friends Enid and Bobby over at the Pottstown Athletic Club. They are showing Romeo and Juliet, which I'm going to assume is a kids movie. That is at 6 p.m. over at the Pottstown Athletic Club. And it's $5 pre-sale, $7 at the door. Bring a lawn chair and a blanket. Also this Saturday, lots of stuff going on, you guys. This Saturday, adult skate, 80s prom at the roller rink, Ringing Rocks roller rink. So that sounds fun. 80s style prom at the roller rink.
I did, Dar Bainbridge and I were messing around on Spotify, like not together, but like at the same time, but in separate places.
Right.
I don't want anybody to say I'm messing around with Dar Bainbridge, but we were both simultaneously on Spotify looking at 80s and 90s roller skating music. And we had, if you would listen to our playlist, I think our playlist was pretty banging.
Yeah. Some nostalgia.
Dar and I will have to work on that again.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also Saturday from 5 to 11 at Pottstown at Manichawnee Steelworks, a new wave Valentine's dance party. So this is another 80s theme dance party at Manichawnee Steelworks. That's on Saturday from 5 to 11. Pictures of you, a new wave Valentine's dance party. Designer bag bingo. I don't get it, but people love it. I don't even know what it is, but people love this, John. This is an event by the Pottstown Rotary Club, and it is at Brookside Country Club on Sunday, February 26th at 11 a.m. Designer bag bingo. It supports Rotary youth programs, and that is it. So lots going on this weekend, you guys, and a little early Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day special.
I love when people say that.
The Valentine's Day and birthday.
It irritates the shit out of me, but I love it. It's like one of those things that you love to hate.
I say Valentine's Day and birthday.
Birthday.
Yep. So that's it. Next week, right? It's next week that we've got Mindy, the director of the Pottstown Library. Another thing I like to say, library. Which we love to talk about, but we never really get to talk about their programs in depth because there's so damn many of them.
There's 2 calendars for every month.
Super important. The library is a very super important institution, and we are very happy to support it. And I'm eager to talk to Mindy about everything that's going on over there.
If you want to overcome the efforts of some of our right-leaning friends, then you should be fully supportive of the local libraries, because that is where people can go to really learn about Black history and women's history and Hispanic history.
Any history.
Any history.
Yes.
We should be fully supporting our local and regional libraries. There's no reason not to.
Right. And
it
guess
should
what,
just
you guys?
Be what we
you
do.
Can go there and you can rent stuff for free. Free. Books, DVDs, books on tape, video games, all sorts of stuff. When Harrison was little, we used to go and we would come home with a giant tote bag full of books because that kid was a voracious reader from a very young age. So we would just bring home giant tote bags of books to read.
My kids used to go to the library with my dad, and my kids would be excited to get dropped off at Poppy Pop's house so that he could take them to the library. They would come back with a bag of books. I remember one time he got kits at the library so they could make kites.
Cool.
And they would come back with books and movies and kite kits.
It
and
was
all
like
this stuff.
a big adventure.
Oh, it was huge.
How exciting.
Poppy Pop took us to the library. We got 3 movies.
Right. It's great. And Darlene is saying that you got museum passes for free.
Yeah.
You can get free museum passes. Museum. Harrison used to say when he was little, museum. Yeah.
Ray Amori,
Hey,
we were
Ray.
talking about Black History Month.
Yeah,
Hit the
thanks for tuning
rewind.
in.
Hit the rewind button. Go back to the front.
Go back
watch
to
the
the
show
beginning.
over.
Yeah.
Listen, I do want to. Darlene Bainbridge is throwing up some stuff. Thanks for the comments on the show. We would not be anything without the contribution of our friends like Ray Amori, Darlene Bainbridge,
Yeah.
Todd Bainbridge. Todd Bainbridge is our resident historian here on Porchcast Pottstown.
Yeah, check out his page, you guys. Really interesting stuff.
The Pottstown Area History Collective.
Yeah, go
Todd,
up through the comments. I put the link in there.
Somebody throw another link up in there. It can't hurt. I want to give another big shout out to Todd Bainbridge, who did 100% of the research for today's history lesson here on Porchcast Pottstown. All I had to do was print out the articles, get out my handy dandy highlighter,
Nice.
and highlight some stuff to make a story out of it.
Nice.
That's all I did.
Yep.
That was my contribution. Everything else that you learned today was the result of the work of our friend Todd Bainbridge.
Well done, Todd. We're doubling your salary.
Yeah, he'll get 3 beers the next time he comes instead of 1.5.
All right, so tune in next week and learn all about everything that is to offer. Oh, I'm going to do one last thing before we sign off. Pottstown Go Forth is selling our Pottstown Heart Flags
I'll put the caption
special this month for Valentine's Day. So get your Pottstown Heart Flags. We have a few garden flags left. We've got a bunch of house flags left. So check it out. $20 and goes to support your 4th of July festivities, which I'm going to start talking about ad nauseum very soon.
Yeah, Todd, 3, because the last time you were on, I got a 4-pack and we split it. So the next time you come on, I'll probably be cheap bastard and get another 4-pack. But
we can get pounders.
They were pounders.
Okay. All right.
Instead of just giving him 2 beers, I'll give him 3 beers, and then his salary will be increased. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So a pounder is 16 ounces, right?
30. So 2 beers would be 32 plus another 12.
So it's not quite 3 12-ounces. Doing some crazy math. All right, break it down. Get a growler.
We are Porchcast Pottstown. If you want to talk to us and tell us what we're doing, if you want to tell us what to do, if there's something that we've done that you don't like and you think that you have a suggestion on how we can do it better,
you can go start your own show.
That's one solution to the problem.
I mean, it's not that hard. We just did it.
Yeah, you can sink about $5,000 into equipment and start your own damn podcast.
Yeah.
Or
have at it.
Or you could do what most people like to do here in Pottstown. You could shoot your mouth off and tell us about how bad we suck. If you want to do that, go to pottstownreports@gmail.com. We take questions, comments, and critique.
Most
about
people are nice.
Pottstown.
Most people are complimentary.
No, 99.9%. We really don't have a whole lot of trouble.
We don't have too many haters. Not yet, anyway.
But if you want to hate, go over to pottstownreports@gmail.com. Pottstown Reports is an effort that we've put together with the folks from Eye on Pottstown, and occasionally, every now and then, I guess when he feels like it, when he has some time, Evan Brandt,
which is never, because he's like Bugs Bunny playing all the bases.
Evan Brandt helps us out with that too.
Yeah.
Let us know what your questions, comments, and critique are for the show at pottstownreports.com. If you want to get on the show, just send us a message, get in touch with us, send up a smoke signal, and you can get on the show. My name is Matt Green. I am your local real estate expert. If you want to learn about what you can do to help revitalize your town, if you want to learn what it takes to become a real estate investor, or you want to learn what it takes to become a rehabber of residential properties, give me a call. I'll teach you how to do it for free. Free.
Really?
Yeah, for free.
Wow.
For free.
Free. We love
if you're
free.
serious, and I'm telling you, if you're
We love
serious,
free on Porchcast because we don't make any money here.
if you're serious about it, if you really want to learn how to do it, and if you really want to put some time and effort into it, I will walk you through the process, and I'm not going to charge you a single penny to learn how to be a real estate investor and learn how to improve your neighborhood.
Right.
Free. Hit me up. My name's Matt Green at Glocker Real Estate. Amy Wolf is the lovely, lovely office manager over at Wolf Baldwin and Associates, bringing you fine legal service in the borough of Pottstown since 1973. That would be 50 years.
50
years. 50 years.
Yep. Can you believe it?
Levi Wolf, her husband, is, amongst other things, he is a workman's compensation specialist. He's certified by the courts of Pennsylvania. Certified by the courts of Pennsylvania.
He said that test was harder than taking the bar.
Don't mess around.
Yeah.
And his initial consultation to see if you have a case, and you probably do.
Free.
Guess who doesn't get paid till you get paid?
Yeah.
Levi Wolf.
Yeah, and if you're already getting wage loss or have him come and review your case, because a lot of times they do those, they're dopes over there. Like they calculate, the insurance companies, they calculate the rate wrong, and you might be getting paid the wrong amount. So it doesn't hurt to have him review your case.
Matt Green, Amy Wolf, we're your host of Porchcast Pottstown. Let's talk soon.
See ya.